Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey. I'm an entrepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Let's dive in. I know that you saved a client £1 million in one tax year, so tell me how you did it, but more importantly, tell me how on earth do they get it quite so wrong?
Well, this was a high net worth individual, and he had an expensive hobby. And when I looked into the hobby, I thought this is more like a business than a hobby. So when I worked out how much he was spending on this hobby, it added up to quite a lot of money. So when I treated it as a business, he got some tax relief and equated to £1 million.
How interesting. Wow, that's a huge amount to save on your theoretical hobby.
Yeah,
that's
so
fabulous.
He was very pleased. Yeah.
Okay, so on the contrary, what kind of biggest money myths can you bust for us?
I think it's really important clients understand, especially when they're having a limited company, that limited company bank account is not theirs. So I see a lot of clients spending money from that, thinking it's there. They're putting all sorts of things through. So they need to understand business and personal needs to be separated. So I think just because they think they have their own company, they can't just spend the money and they can get themselves into trouble.
Would it be that then you as an accountant then have to sort all of that as if it was their wages kind of thing? Because theoretically, they should be spending that after they receive the wage from the company.
There's different ways of doing it. I won't get into too much technical detail, but there's you have to treat it as a personal expense.
Yes, of course.
There's tax implications on that, so they need to be careful.
Okay, so this is the biggest myth for people who run companies. Do not spend your personal expenses from your business account.
Yeah, and you see all these people on social media. I've paid for my holiday through my company, and you have to be really careful. I think lots of social media stuff, you need to take it with a pinch of salt.
I mean, of course, on some occasions it works. When you go abroad to do business legitimately, then you can kind of make it a holiday or enjoy a little bits of it, because you're not going to be doing business 24/7 while there. But still, you have to do business and you have to document your business, don't you?
Yeah, and you can't. I've seen clients trying to put a holiday to a beach vacation with their whole family on the invoice, and they've got one business meeting there. So some of it legitimately is a business. You have to split the cost and separate it all out to account for the business expense versus the personal expense. But you just can't put the whole thing through, no matter what people say on social media. So,
do you find that a lot of people do that, despite a lot of information is available from HMRC telling you exactly what you can do?
I think people try and push the envelope if they can. So you've just got to be, I feel like I'm like a parent sometimes. You can't do this, you can't do that. I don't want to be seen to be HMRC's agent, so to speak. But I need to make sure my clients know the right and the wrong and what is and what isn't allowable. Obviously, I encourage my clients to put what is allowable through the business, because there's no point paying extra tax. And
yes, of course, that is your actual job, isn't it? To save people.
Yeah, so I don't want to sound like I'm saying don't put anything through. That's not what I mean. There's certain things that can and can't be put through the business, and I make sure my clients know what can. And there's little things that maybe they're not aware of.
Okay, so how do you make tax or tax saving sexy for clients?
Sexy. There's little benefits that I'll make sure they all know about. There's something called trivial benefits, where you can put through personal expenses as long as each transaction is less than £50. You can put them through, but there's a cap to £300 a year. So if you spend, for example, I say if it's your birthday, buy yourself a little present, maybe an Amazon voucher or something like that. As long as it's not convertible for cash, you can put six. This is a limited company, by the way, it doesn't work for sole traders. So you can buy yourself some gifts, and there's capped at six times a year. So it's a little benefit there. Likewise, there's an annual outing. You can go and buy yourself spend money on a Christmas annual event or a summer annual event. That's £150 a year capped. So
is it per director or per company?
The £150 is per employee and a guest. So if you're just one man band, you could take your spouse and you can go out for £300 basically once a year. If you and your spouse are together, then it's £300 between the two of you. But it's £150 per head for the event. And if you don't spend all in one event, you could have two events, so Christmas and a summer, for example. But interesting.
I knew of the first one, but I didn't know the second one.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to ask, the vast majority of your clients, do people know about these things? And how about accountants? Do they know these things widely?
I think most accountants know. There's lots of social media about it I've seen. But I make sure my clients know about it. And it's always a nice little benefit. If they don't know about it, they can reward themselves with this. But Just to caveat, you must buy these things through the company and not personally then reimburse yourself.
Well, of course, yes,
yourself,
because the whole point is that it's a company allowance, isn't it?
Yeah. So just there's so many things I want to make sure I caveat what's relevant, what's not relevant.
Are you exhausted and running your business on empty? Well, join my free 3-day Facebook challenge starting on 21st of October and discover health routines that give you more focus and energy. Sign up today by getting your free guide. The link is in the show notes. So just to stick with the tax topic for the moment, what kind of stories can you tell us that show that DIY accounting and bookkeeping doesn't work?
So I've had a few clients come to me who've been doing their own for a while, and one in particular brings to mind. He was doing his own maybe about a year, and then he came to me when it was time to do his financial accounts and so on. And I had a look through everything, and I noticed he hadn't claimed some allowances, so I registered him for VAT. And I noticed he had an employee, so he wasn't claiming the employment allowance, which meant effectively I saved him £11,000.
Wow.
And that was in his first week of working together. So that was quite good.
Yes. Well, that certainly paid for your fees without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. So I was quite pleased with that. But I like to train my clients to, when they do their own, they don't necessarily understand what they're doing. So I try and help my clients understand their numbers so they understand where they are in their business.
Right. So do you offer a broad range of services like accounting, bookkeeping and tax advice, or you specialise in tax?
At the moment, I'm offering a whole array of services. So I'm like the business partner. I'll do everything to do with financial. So I'll do your limited company accounts. I'll do your payroll. I'll do your VAT. I'll help you with the bookkeeping. And I also try and encourage my clients to have monthly meetings with me where we look at the figures, we build a budget together. Where are you compared to your budget financially? Where do you want to get to understanding their goals? A bit more like a business consultant stroke.
Oh, okay. That's really good, actually.
With an accountancy hat on. So I'm trying to be like a partner and grow with my clients and take them along for the journey. I don't want to be a once-a-year accountant who looks back and delivers a tax bill. I want to be more helpful and more.
That is really useful.
Of a partnership.
I must admit that I find that more useful with my accountant having the business strategy meetings than the accountancy services. Although obviously that's just something that's got to be done. But with the business strategy support, I can grow my business that much better.
I think the accountancy once a year tax thing is an evil necessity. It's not particularly helpful for the business.
Well, when you're saving 11,000 and $1 million for people, I don't think that's evil in any sense of the word.
That's true. I always try and make sure I provide value to my clients. So yes, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, that's not evil at all. I think that's quite saintly, actually. Cool. That's really fun. That's good information. Thank you for that. Let's get on to the business side of things. So here you are, coming up to your mid-50s, and you started up a new business after spending your previous life in corporate employment. Yeah,
so I've been employed as an accountant for over 25 years. Quite senior roles, and about 10 years ago I started getting some clients personally on the side. So I had a side hustle for a while, and it got to a point where I couldn't handle both, so I hired someone to help me with my side hustle rather than quitting my job because I wasn't confident enough.
I was going to say, what were your fears? What was the hardest part about making the decision over the period of time to quit your job?
I think it was just having the confidence and have I got enough money to replace my income. So if I left work, I'll suddenly lose my good salary. So I was trying to build up a nest egg, so to speak, to fall back on. So over the 10 years I've been running my side hustle, I employed someone to help me with that. And then I went from full-time work to part-time work just because I couldn't cope with all the work. Right. And then about last July, I decided, even with a part-time role, it was time to invest in myself and back myself. So I think as I grew older and moved different jobs in a corporate world, I realised, I'm good enough, and I felt more confident in myself and took the plunge. And
before we move on too fast, I just want to dig a little bit deeper into how you felt at the time. So in hindsight, having employed someone and paid someone, could you have actually gone part-time earlier and paid yourself? So when you look back, do you have any regrets for not doing things earlier?
I've learned different things as I go along. I mean, it's always a school day, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
There's always something you're learning. So I think that just having the extra experience has given me much more confidence now. When I left my full-time work to go part-time. It was right in the middle of the pandemic, and I was going to take the plunge and do it then, and then the pandemic happened and a part-time job just fell on my lap, so I took it. But the initial idea was to go full-time then, but then obviously the world was a different place.
Yes, very different place. Did you then find yourself working from home?
Yes, so that's a totally new thing. All the technology was so different in those days. I mean, now it's second nature. I'm on a Teams call every day and everything's virtual, but at that time it was a big change. So it was...
How did you cope with that?
At the beginning it was difficult. The employer who I was working for at the time didn't really embrace the current technology, and we were encouraging everyone to come in. I had to actually give my notice in at that time. So the 3 months from February 2020 to when I actually left in May, because I had to give my 3 months notice period. That was when everything changed in the world. So I actually did work from home, but it was a bit of a struggle to get my employer to be happy with that.
And to set up the technology for you to use to be able to do your work.
My husband's very
that
good
sounds
at
a bit.
My husband's very good at technical stuff, so he did it all for me. He set it all up so it all worked, and not looked back since then.
That's interesting, because how many people would have been out there in the world who didn't have a husband who were technically minded, and makes you wonder how they then coped with it.
Don't know, but for me,
it worked.
It worked, yes. So you have to keep up with technology. I mean, accountancy, there's so much technology with accountancy these days compared to... Yeah, I'm looking back...
Has it gone beyond the spreadsheet kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I started, like 20 odd years, or 30 years ago, whenever it was, as a junior accountant, auditor actually, going in and looking through manual reams of computer printouts with those dot matrix printers and those things at the paper at the side, the dots.
Yes.
The holes in the side. I can't remember what they're called now.
Yeah, there was the printer, like the way you reeled the paper,
trying to find something just like... And now everything's online and just everything's automated. And the audit, I don't do audits anymore, but the last time I did an audit, everything was computerized, and it was such a different kettle of fish. And nowadays... I don't know if what you use for your business, but the modern technology, you go out and I
use an accountant.
So I encourage my clients to use the latest technology. So, for example, if they're out and about and they buy dinner, the receipts, they just take a photograph of the app and it sends it into their bookkeeping software for it to semi-automate everything. So
it's in the pipeline for me to be set up.
Yeah,
I haven't quite, but we have talked about it with my accountant to do that.
It's brilliant. The technology
it'll make my life a lot easier, because I still kind of do it a little bit old-fashioned, still in the spreadsheet. But
compared to 20 years ago, when I would get a client's tax return, it'd be a shoebox of receipts, and sometimes I'd find some not very nice things in that box. And everything's now online, and it's there. If everything's done, if you keep everything up to date, everything's there at touch of a button. You can have an idea of your financial position straight away, rather than waiting for the accountant to do it 9 months after year end, for example.
Is there a huge amount of people who still do the shoebox thing? Or do you think that a lot of people...
I only take my clients who are digital, so I can't comment. I don't have clients who aren't.
Do people actually approach you who still not embracing technology, and then you just say, no, I'm sorry, I only deal with people who are up to date?
I've got a couple of older... My father-in-law was an accountant, and I help him with his clients. So they're not necessarily embracing technology, but they're like, inherited clients. But my new clients now, they have to go on to software. Mind
you, we've got less than a year to go digital completely.
That's
anyway.
True, yeah.
Is it April next year?
Yeah, if your turnover is £50,000 or more, and you're a sole trader or a landlord or a combination of both, the combined total, if it's £50,000, you have to register for making tax digital and file your tax returns effectively 5 times a year, actually.
Yes.
Once a quarter plus an annual summary.
The thing is, though, then once the quarterly ones are done, then the annual should be just the touch of a button, shouldn't it?
It should be, but the quarterly ones don't include everything. So if you've got dividends or gift aid or something like that, that needs to go on the annual.
How is that going to affect people financially when they have to pay their accountants for 5 submissions rather than 1?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to encourage my clients to register themselves on the software, and I'll train them up to how to do it and do them themselves. They don't have to pay me 5 times a year, but a lot of my clients don't want to touch it. They would rather me do everything. So
if they've got the money to pay you 5 times a year, then you're not going to say no to the income. But it's really nice to know that you are encouraging people to just do it themselves and be aware of what's going on in their business anyway.
But I'm not sure how if I ever was going to do everyone's tax returns, how I'd cope with 5 times as much work. Even regardless of the fees, it's very like peaks and troughs. 4 times a year, I'm going to be really busy, then it's going to be quiet. So I have to work that's a work in progress in my practice.
But the thing is, though, because people's businesses start in various times of the year, so the year end is different times. So doesn't it stagger between a whole bunch of clients?
So if you're a limited company, that does stagger. But if you're a sole trader and you fall under the MTD, then you have to file your tax returns and the quarterly summaries quarterly. I think it's 7 days after the year month end plus a month. So, for example, if it's March, you've got till the 7th of May. So you've got 1 month and 7 days to file. So
you effectively have 5 weeks to go through all of your sole trader clients.
And then you've got 2 months off and then it'll be on again. Whereas if you're a limited company, they are staggered. So that's going to be more tricky.
But do you find that your clients are kind of a mixture of
at the moment, my
sole
clients,
traders and limited companies?
I've got a mixture of both, and it's quite steady during the year. So it works quite well at the moment. So that's going to be a work in progress to try and work out.
So is that a difficulty in your field, that you've got these peaks and troughs throughout the year? Or how do you cope with it as a businesswoman?
At the moment, it's okay because it's once a year. I know that it's going to be once a year trying to get all tax returns done. And we don't have the MTD at the moment. So I train my clients to try and send me information as much as possible. So I've got a good few months from October to January, for example, to get them done. And then I plan my work around that. But I'm going to have that busy period every quarter. So that's going to be...
I'm trying to get my head around it. So at the moment, you've got technically quiet all year and then super busy for a month or so.
I've got all my limited company clients who throughout the year steady.
But then isn't that going to be the same? That
I'm going to have my limited company clients throughout the year in a steady stream of them. But then I'm also, on top of that, I've got my quarterly personal tax clients who used to just do once a year. Now I'm going to have to do it 4 times a year.
5 times a year.
5 times a year plus the year end one. So that's going to be...
So it sounds like that the adjustment for you is greater than it is for the clients.
Yeah, to be honest, that's something I need to work on and home in how I'm going to do it.
And plan it. Yeah. Is HMRC providing accountants with any kind of support on this? How to...
There's some training and there's lots of webinars out there to try and educate everybody, including accountants. But I know a lot of people who are potentially my age or older are going to retire because they don't want to deal with... I said the accountants, don't want to deal with all this.
That's an interesting concept as well. But
I've heard. So there's potential opportunity there to grow your business and catch these clients who might be
so interesting. One door closes, another one opens, doesn't it? So as you say, if older accountants decide, I can't be dealing with this and retire, then hey, there'll be a whole lot of clients looking for accountants.
We'll see.
Yeah. So that transitional period will be a bit of a challenge for everybody, whether you're young, middle-aged or old, really.
Yeah.
As well, transition is always difficult for all of us. So if you go back to your transition from corporate employment into self-employment, what have been the easy parts of it?
So I guess at my age, being 50, I've got all these years of experience and knowledge under my belt, having a bit of a financial nest egg for having done this for a while, being mature and my children have left. I've got the time and the financial backing to do that. So that's something that maybe when I was a bit younger, I didn't have behind me. And moving across, just working on my own, I've loved it actually, learning new skills. Obviously, I've been an accountant, I know all about the finances and I've dealt with teams and staff before, but it's the thing that I find is the most new to me is the marketing and business development.
Yeah, I was just going to go into the hardest part. So whether it's age related that you are in your 50s and that is hard, or whether it's because you started a new business rather than being employed, but what are the hardest parts of setting up a business at this stage in your life?
I didn't find it hard because I had it sort of as a back burner, in the background, but I think the hardest thing is getting out of my comfort zone. As accountants, I'm so used to doing the same thing and doing people's accounts and advising them on tax and being an accountant, but now I've got to really home in on my business, being a business owner and growing my business. And that's the hardest thing, moving from... Have you read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, I think?
I've listened to it, yes.
Yeah, so he was saying there's 3 roles. So
yes,
when you're an employee,
oh my goodness, that is absolutely fabulous, that book, yeah.
So when you're an employee, you just think you're technical, and you think, I can do this. And then you move over to being a business owner. And suddenly you've got 3 roles. You've got the technical role, the managerial role, and the entrepreneur. And it's I've got to try and move out of just doing the technical stuff and doing all the other.
I find it so interesting the way he explains that you literally, you can actually do it physically, have 3 caps, and depending on what role you need to fill in that hour of the day, you sort of need to timetable your week really to have your worker roles, your managerial roles, and your CEO roles to make sure that it's not just the work that gets done, but your key performance indicators are looked at as well, and then everything else in between gets managed.
Yeah. So I try and divide my diary into different chunks. So I've got Fridays, for example, I keep for business development. Actually, it works quite well today. It's Friday today. And then I have other times in my diary where I block out, I'm going to do some technical stuff and I'm going to do some managerial stuff.
So you've been able to embrace that advice really quite well.
I've tried. That's not always work. Yeah, I can only try. Yeah, I definitely have kept Fridays off for doing my own personal development and business development. And having said that, I've also recently hired my first employee. So I had a part-time employee and now I've got a full-time employee as well. So I am in the process of trying to, obviously I don't want to lose contact with my clients because I love that, but some of the technical stuff in the background, I've got some help now.
So you're able to step more into that CEO role.
Yeah.
And actually run your company rather than be the technical person and just work in it.
So it's early days. She's not quite 3 months yet. So
how long is it since you've gone full time in your own? Since you set up your own company?
Last July, I went full time.
So a little over a year. We are now at the end of September.
So it would have been roughly about the anniversary when I went full time for myself that I hired my first employee. So that's
wonderful. So what would you recommend to our listeners who are in a similar situation where they worked 15, 20, 25 years in the corporate world and have always nurtured some kind of idea that they would like to run their own business? What are the main sort of bits of advice you would give people?
Well, I did it very slowly as I've had my business on the side for about 10 years, but if you can do that, you've got a bit of comfort there. So when you do leave, you're not going to miss your income. But as I said before, in your 50s, hopefully you've got a bit of financial security, you haven't got the children to look after. So now's the time, because unfortunately no one's getting any younger. If you want to do it, grab the opportunity.
I totally associate it. That's kind of what happened to me on my 50th birthday. I announced to the world that I want to do something amazing in this life. And here we are.
So I've
just
loved it. I really loved
it.
And I haven't looked back. So I'm very pleased I did it. And I almost wish I did it earlier because my children haven't known me for quite a while now, 27, 25. So they're off doing their own thing. So
Sorry, what was that? You wish you did it earlier?
Potentially, yeah. Yeah.
So that is the major message, isn't it? That if you have that inclination, just go for it and do it.
I can't remember who said it, but there's some famous saying that you don't look back on your deathbed and regret the things you did. You regret the things you didn't do.
Absolutely.
So that's in the back of my mind as well. If I don't do it, I will regret it. And I love it. I'm enjoying it. But I'm grateful for all the experience I've learned whilst in employment as well, because I probably couldn't have done it what I'm doing now without that experience. So it's a bit of both. It's
kind of like one of the hardest things I find to kind of accept is that you are exactly where you're meant to be, because you always want to be somewhere else. You want to be ahead in your business and, I want to have experienced X, Y, Z, or, I can see that person being so successful. But of course, you don't see into their path. You just see your own path. And accepting that I am exactly where I am supposed to be, because I need to learn what I need to learn in order to take the next steps and go further. Yeah, that's really hard, especially when you are like a perfectionist or you just really want to get on with it.
Yeah, I think also talking about looking at other people, as I said before, watching people on social media, you just don't see it's all through rose-tinted glasses. You don't see the downside, the struggles and stuff. So.
And you don't necessarily see how long they've been doing it. So there was somebody running a Facebook challenge a couple of months ago. It was pretty much sort of clashing with my own in a way. But it was my first. And then when I started to sort of follow him a little bit, I came to realize that he's been doing this business for 10 years. So no wonder that this launch he was doing was massive. And mine was just in baby shoes, because it was my very first. So I should not compare myself under any circumstances. And I think that is quite important for people to understand who want to start a new business, that we all start somewhere. and my next launch will be a little bigger, and then the next launch will be even bigger than that, and so on. And in 10 years' time, hopefully mine will be as big as that one that I was admiring.
Yeah, you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And back yourself.
Yeah. So talking about deathbeds and regrets, what kind of other things do you do in your life where you think, yeah, I'm living my life, and when I lay on my deathbed, I will look back at this and think, yeah, I've done it all?
Well, the biggest thing was working for myself, so I've done that. I guess at the moment I'm trying to grow my business enough to be able to afford to do it is my son moved to Canada, so I'd love to go and visit him more often and spend some time there. And being my own boss now, I've got the capability of work. As I said before, accountancy is very technical and online these days, so I can digital, and I can go and work potentially from
anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So my husband does a lot of business traveling, and I've been going along with him sometimes to various places and working from there, from the hotel room sometimes.
So you're embracing the digital nomad kind of lifestyle. So has your son actually moved to Canada already?
He's been there on and off since 2021, I think now.
Oh, wow. Okay. So a few years now.
Yeah. So it's nice when I do get to see him, but I'd like to see him more often.
But you are obviously on the right path, because just simply by employing people, I kind of assume that means that you've got an increased workload.
Yes.
And you are able to leave people to do some of the work.
Yes. Unfortunately, I went through family bereavement recently, and I took some time off, but I've spent this last year building systems and processes so it can work somewhat without me. So having my part-time employee at the time, didn't have my full-time yet. She, without her and my systems, I don't know how I would have been able to keep the business going. I took quite a few weeks off.
Can I ask you to dig into a little bit more into those systems? What sort of systems have you built in order to run your business without you? That's essentially
it's not fully without me. I obviously have to keep an eye on everything. But I've got my employee and all the accounting systems that are out there. The bookkeeping is semi-automated. Obviously, we have to keep an eye on it. We can't just trust the machine. So it's not just computer doing everything, but just having the modern technology does help with this sort of thing. And just having set systems in stone, a bit like what Michael Gerber was saying in his book. If you're doing a set of accounts, for example, for a client, you'd follow these steps. And I spent time designing those steps and documenting them and putting them in a software package to make sure that these steps are followed every time.
Okay.
Just having that routine, and so I can rely on other people doing it, for example.
So theoretically, you've got this system all written down. So any accountant, any bookkeeper could potentially come into your business, have a look at this procedure, and should be able to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's just repeat software that documents the steps and make sure they're all done.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a work in progress, and it's always being worked on and improved and tweaked. But that really helped, just knowing that I can see at a glance where something is, and if I need to pick up the phone and do something myself, or ask my employee or whatever to do it, or tell the client they haven't done X, Y, Z, please can you do it? So it's just having that discipline, I think, helped.
Okay, that's a very strong word, but I think it really applies for when you are self-employed, to be disciplined with yourself and your systems. I'm kind of going through that little growth bit and putting systems in place to be able to get a VA to do certain things for me. And I came to realize that when I first just gave her this sort of literally I had this task diarrhea come out of me, that I need help with all of these. And she just didn't understand head and tail of it kind of thing. And then I started to put it into a bit more structured and organized ways. And then some weeks down the line, we are now able to work together, and she started to do some tasks. So the systems
what steps to put, because if something's obvious to me, if I say do X, it might be 5 or 6 steps. So if I just say do this, and someone has no idea what I'm talking about, so you have to break it all down. And it's just understanding how much the time spent, how much detail you put in there, so someone can pick it up, or how much. Yeah, so
it's a bit like husband. When you tell your husband to empty dishwasher, they don't necessarily think.
He's telling me to empty the dishwasher.
Doesn't necessarily think they realize that the sink is actually full of dirty, and that needs to go in as well, because that wasn't part of the instructions.
Like my husband is opposite roles in our household for that sort of thing.
If you are nodding along because you feel stretched thin, you are not alone. My Routine Club helps entrepreneurs reset their focus and energy so they can scale without burnout. The link to the Routine Club is in the show notes. So what sort of other things do you do outside of work?
So I try and do as much exercise as I can. I don't do as much as I should. But every morning we we go for a walk, and weekend we go to the gym, or I swim actually. My husband goes to the gym. We spend a lot of time with our family, to be honest.
Yeah, but I tell you what, daily walks are literally among the healthiest things you can do, because your entire body is moving. You are out in fresh air.
Yes.
Do you go for a walk together, you said?
Sometimes, yeah. So because I'm working from home, I don't have a commute anymore. So I try and get in the habit now of having my own little commute from my bedroom outside through, back into the house. So I do maybe 10, 15 or maybe longer actually, a walk every morning.
Do you listen to audiobooks, or if you go with your husband, then I think that's quality time? So my husband and I, we talk. Yeah. Normally I talk about my business and he listens. I do listen to audiobooks. I find it hard to switch off, so I'm always listening to some business book. Which I think you and I are completely in the same boat on that one. When I go for my midday walk after lunch, I find it very difficult. But then what I started doing is little short 10-minute walks in the afternoon, and I leave everything behind and just enjoy the fresh air and the sunshine and walking up the hill, and try and make a huge effort disconnect from everything.
I think that's why I like swimming actually, because I don't have earphones on or whatever, so I can't listen to books. So then I would just start swimming and thinking about, I try not to think about work.
Oh, so business?
It doesn't always work. I do think about business sometimes when I'm swimming, but sometimes it's a eureka moment. Oh, I should do that. Just you're not away from the everyday mundane work stuff, and suddenly something pings in your mind. Oh, I should do this. But I do try and switch off when I'm swimming and think of something totally different.
Funny enough, this is the kind of thing that I sort of bring into the spiritual health area of looking after our health, because as long as you disconnect, it frees up your mind to then think about other things. Because whenever especially in today's world, it's digital sort of disturbance is everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're able to do anything, whether it's literally just sitting in the sauna without your phone, or swimming in the swimming pool and moving your body, and it's just a beautiful combination of things where you can disconnect from it all and just concentrate on your well-being. So what other well-being systems have you got in place?
Does this count? I love crochet.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yes, of course it counts. Yes. Oh my goodness.
So I find it so relaxing, especially at winter time. I love making hats and beanies. I spend hours making different types of crochet and just making patterns up myself. And then my husband can't believe every time I undo something, because I don't like how it looks. So I undo the whole hat and start again. Okay. He thinks I'm crazy, but I don't know. I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
But believe it or not, there are actually books out there that are written for knitting and crocheting for mental health.
Oh, really?
Yes. I did a textiles degree a few years ago, and I took part in a project where we went into care homes for people with dementia, and we would deliver all sorts of little craft courses or sort of little sessions for them. And it was during that time when I learned about these books that you can sort of teach people who struggle with various mental health issues to pick up knitting or crocheting to better their mental health. And again, it's disconnecting from the world and just sort of connecting with your own values and your own purpose in life.
You have to concentrate on, especially if you're doing a pattern, you really have to concentrate. And so I don't have time. My brain hasn't got the capacity to think about work. So that does actually really help me switch off.
That is very much a mental health practice, without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh, I didn't realise. I was doing it automatically.
There you go. We both learned something from each other.
Yeah. Can I just go back to something?
Yes, of course you can.
We spoke earlier about the new changes to the income tax,
go on.
and all the downsides of it. I think there are some upsides as well. That's positive. So I just wanted to bring.
Yeah, that would be brilliant to share, because obviously it's people in business who are listening to our episodes, and people who want to set up a business. So it's very important.
I think I've mentioned briefly how the technology these days means you've got financial information at the touch of a button, but this way, everybody has that benefit. So it's forcing people who might have been using spreadsheets or even bringing a box of receipts. Now they should have that information to hand and use that to move their business forward. They wouldn't have had that.
I kind of see it as a brilliant way forward, because we are sort of tied to the computer more or less anyway. So whether I save my invoices into a Google folder for my accountant to see as well, or whether I save it straight into the account, makes no difference really.
No.
But then it's all organized and it's all there, and the accountant can still see it at the touch of a button.
It's so easy to take a photo and just get sent into the software.
Do you find people are kind of resenting this, or is it a generational thing if they do? Or do you find that the younger generation kind of just embraces
I think
it?
the younger generation so used to living on their phone anyway, so it's just an extension of what they're used to by having these apps on their phones. I do find sometimes they've got so many apps on their phones that they really don't want to have another one, but these must really.
Well, when it comes to business, you just need to group those together and know that, okay, these apps are for my business and those apps are not.
But I think so even though it's got loads of negative press and more burden on everybody, and
why would it have negative press?
Just because of the extra costs.
I see. Of course, that's obvious.
And there is going to be free software out there, but I think most of the better softwares you would have to pay for. But there is a plus side, and I wanted to just make sure that was mentioned as well.
Yeah, and thank you for that. That's really quite important.
Yeah, I think so.
So is there anything else in your mind that you would like to sort of share with people who are thinking about setting up their own business, and perhaps specifically in accountancy or bookkeeping? What is it that they should really consider before they do it?
Are you embracing all technology? Because it makes life so different, and having AI and all these modern apps, it's such a different business to what it was years ago.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity there to move from just being a bookkeeper, accountant, to being a business advisor,
right?
Business coaching, to really get to understand your clients and having the regular catch-ups. You've got the time now. All these technology frees up your time. So don't see the technology as taking a job away. It will help you move your job to something that's more helpful for your clients. That's how I think things anyway.
Can we unpick a couple of things in there? Obviously, AI now comes up pretty much in every single conversation. Can you use AI in bookkeeping and accounting?
So a lot of the time, the actual products themselves, the bookkeeping software, have an AI embedded in it. So for example, if you use QuickBooks or Xero, they link to your bank and they would recognise you spent, I don't know, £5 at Costa, and they'll know last time you put Costa through, they know it was coffee subsistence. So it learns that way.
Oh, okay. So it learns the description of,
or
the categorization of everything. But also what amazes me is you can take a photo of an invoice and it, of course, interprets all the information. And it comes up with a message to say, yes, I matched this to your XYZ transaction.
There's different technologies. That's OCR, isn't it? Optical character recognition. And
blah, 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 blah.
AI, but so a lot of the technology is embedded in the software.
Right.
There's also ChatGPT and similar, which I'm using all the time. I don't use it for financial client stuff because I'm worried about the data, but I use it to help me draft emails if I don't know how to write something in the right tone, and I've tried to.
Do you trust ChatGPT to pick up more of a legal kind of stuff or legislation?
I've used it for tax purposes, for tax research, and I do test it out, and it does get it wrong. So you've got to be really careful. So, for example, I asked it a question about, help me write a blog about this, that, and the other, tax. And I know the answer. So I read it all through, and it's gave me all the wrong tax year information. So the figures, the thresholds are all wrong. So you've got to be really careful.
Wow. It makes you wonder where it picks up the information from. Because you would think, well, this is how I interpreted AI at the beginning, that information that's available, it could be anything, gets loaded up or got loaded up, or whatever is happening in the world gets loaded up. But then again, there's so much fake stuff, and it's kind of like, at what point is it going to spiral out of hand when all of the AI generated fake stuff is being perceived by AI as real? But I had similar experiences doing research for my own training program. And I said, can you please reference XYZ that I want to say, or bring up statistics to sort of support what I want to say? And it came up with this list of statistics. And one of them looked really quite interesting. And I clicked on the link. It actually gives you links to what you perceive is to be a correct statistic. Click on the link and it says it's not available. So I then question back like, can you give me the reference for this particular statistics? And it then comes back to say, I can't find it. So I now have to give it a prompt saying, only give me statistics that are clearly referenced and give me the actual link as well. Because then, you can pick up all sorts of unreal information.
I always ask for it to give me the link, and I obviously check that.
And you check it.
And I was on a tax course recently, actually, and they were talking about a court case. Somebody went to court, I think it's been more than one, and they've used AI to defend themselves, and then it's gone through various levels of the courts, different court levels, as like tribunals and... Up to the High Court, So I don't know where it went, but they got quite far, and then they realised that ChatGPT had made up all these precedents. So the court was relying on previous court cases that didn't exist.
Oh my word.
So
I used to go to court when I was a housing officer, actually a rent officer back in London for years. After 2.5 years I was doing that job, and I used to go to court with possession cases. And I had to study some of these cases, and sometimes I think even we had one where it was almost like a precedent setting one, because we couldn't find anything. But it's the interesting thing is that the judge is kind of interpreting the law. The law is actually not written in stone. It's down to interpretation, and that's why there are these cases, I suppose what you are referring to as well, that set the precedent. That at one point that judge interpreted the law their way, and from then on everybody else is going to follow suit.
yeah, it's just set the precedent.
Wow, that's crazy. And were these done for a test to see how AI works in the legal?
I think they were genuine cases
where people got AI to help them.
Defended themselves, and they used AI, ChatGPT, to help them, and they collated what the output was, and it was made up. They call it
interesting. What makes me wonder is that, the barrister at the other end, the HMRC against the alleged tax offender, they would have barristers to
so I don't know
defend.
how much.
Yeah, that's really quite interesting.
Money's been wasted on, the taxpayers' money been wasted in these court cases. But
so yeah, it's interesting that we are using AI more and more and more, but we've got to be so incredibly careful what we take as the truth.
Yeah, and the opposite happened actually. So I asked AI a specific tax question, and it came up with an answer. I thought, I don't think that's right, and I researched and I couldn't find. I asked some colleagues the same thing, and they thought I was that ChatGPT was wrong, but it gave such a specific answer with a specific link. I still didn't know, so I basically rang up a tax specialist and asked which is the right answer, and ChatGPT was right in that situation.
Oh wow!
So
okay,
it's like, you have to always
question your own knowledge.
You have to really. It was a very specific thing that I've never really come across in practice. I wanted to understand what the actual outcome was, but it was.
What would you have done in the past before AI? Would you have gone to the library?
Gone straight to ring up a tax specialist.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't have gone to a book and look for it.
That as well, but sometimes it's just I like to talk understand a bit more about certain things when it's something I haven't come across before.
Do you have a specialism?
So obviously I'm an accountant with detailed tax knowledge, but I also, having been on my own, I decided to niche. I've heard all the marketing talk how it's important to niche. So I looked at my portfolio and realized most of my clients were actually marketing agencies. So and I enjoy working with them. So I'm niching in that, but I do take all clients, but that's my sort of niche for marketing myself.
Actually, that sort of begs the question that do you have to know different things for different work categories like marketing or property or
definitely
property, anything?
Definitely property. There's quite a lot of nuances there that are specific to the property industry.
Okay.
In my previous role, they specialised in a certain industry, and that's had very specific tax reliefs that I hadn't come across before, so I learnt those. So each industry does have its own tax specifics.
So does it help if you, as a tax specialist accountant, actually sort of really niche down on a particular industry and then serve that industry?
Yeah, it does. But ironically, I realise now I haven't chosen the niche with the tax specialisms that I've got. So I might have to think about having two niches.
Could you pivot?
Yeah, maybe I'll do both. I've gone so far, and I love working with my marketing clients, but I've also I feel like it's a shame not to use the tax specialisms I have gained over the last few years. So I'm thinking about maybe having two niches, which I know for marketing purposes might get a bit confusing. So
well, the funny thing is people do say that don't worry about what niche you advertise, because people who buy into you will still find you anyway. And you still want to have that little bit of flexibility, don't you?
Yeah, I don't want to be just, it's difficult. But people do find me they're working with me from various different roles. They find me for my name. So at least I've got a personal brand.
I live in Plymouth and I do go to property networking events. And if anybody in any WhatsApp group or property networking event across the city wants a tax accountant, there is one name that always pops up. So that person is very well known to be a property tax specialist. And he literally knows it like the back of his hand. So would you ever want to be that sort of known name in one particular specialism?
That second niche I was thinking of going into is property, because I'm a landlord myself, so I know.
That would put you at a great advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, any kind of property training company you go to learn about property strategies, they would tell you, choose an accountant, like as a property investor, choose an accountant who has property themselves, because they will understand the nuances a lot better. So maybe
I think
you
that's
could.
the second niche I'm going to have to.
I mean, come on, there's two things aligning, because you've got property yourself and you've done property specialist tax accounting.
One of my old previous roles, I was the head of tax, and there was lots of property clients in there. So
you never know. You could be something special in that field then.
Yeah, it's hard knowing where to pinpoint myself. That's one of the, when you ask me what's the hardest thing about being in my own business, that's
okay.
The direction where to go. I don't want to be just treading water. I need to move forward, and it's choosing the right path and the right strategies to.
Do you have a business coach who can guide you with that?
Not at the moment. I'm on some sort of group mentoring process, but it's not one-to-one. So that'd be the next step, I guess, to get some help.
How do you find the group coaching?
It's been really good. It's helping me with a lot of things. For example, when I started my own side hustle, it was pocket money. So I just thought, well, I know what my employer would have charged for this particular role, so I'm just going to do it cheap. I'll do it half. So that's how I started. And then when I went full time, I can't afford this. I need to get my pricing fixed.
Yes.
And the repricing is quite a big thing in one of the things the group mentorship was talking about. So I went through the exercise of trying to first of all defining how I price my clients, because I can't just make a number up thinner. I need to have some system that's fair to everybody. So every client's different, so I have to have a way of pricing, not in a standard way, so everyone has the same basis behind their fee. So first of all, I had to set that up, think about how to do it, which took a while, and then slowly going through having the conversations with my clients saying, I hope you find my help valuable, and I hope you appreciate what help I've done, and so on. And having that. Did
you find it weeded out some clients that somebody left you because
surprisingly
of your...
not? So that's really, really good. I mean, sometimes they ask questions and push back a bit, but
yes, of course, people don't want to spend money, do they?
But it's surprisingly that everyone stayed. So that's really good.
Do you think that your clients perhaps shopped around a little bit and realized that your prices were still completely either standard, affordable, or...
I don't know. They didn't tell me they did.
Fair enough.
Maybe I do know that before, when I had a meeting with a potential new client, I'd win maybe 90% of them, because that indicator was too cheap. So now I don't have that conversion rate anymore, but it's still a healthy conversion rate, all the less. But having, your question was about having the group mentoring. That's what's really helped, was having a structure to do it, some sort of like example emails to send out, and having the support around me to have the confidence to do that. And then once you start and you realize that your clients understand where you're coming from and they don't leave, it's given me the confidence to continue and make sure everybody's priced fairly, because it's not fair to have some clients subsidize the others. So
when I started over at 50, I learned the hard way. Now I know that health routines are the backbone of business success. So now I help other entrepreneurs do the same. Explore the Routine Club via the link in the show notes, because a healthier you makes a wealthier you. Mind you never know when clients know each other and find out things. But yeah, you just want to be it.
But every client's different. So I can't really compare, because I can't charge everybody the same anyway, because it's not really about time, but everyone's client's different. So I can't have one price fits all. I've got to do a bespoke quote for everybody.
Fair enough. So let's go back a little bit about managing your own health. So what I teach to people is that your business will only ever be as healthy as you. So look after your physical, mental, intellectual and spiritual health and emotional health in equal measures. So for physical health, we kind of mentioned that you go for regular daily walks, which is fabulous, and go swimming. And then mental health is very strong by, again, the swimming and crocheting. What other things do you do that keep you up to make sure that you are fit for your business?
Well, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, so I've been careful with cutting out carbohydrates and trying to eat the right way. So that's helped. And I found since I've been cutting out carbs, or if I do eat carbs, I do notice the difference. I feel very groggy and sleepy. So I feel much more alert not eating them. So that's quite interesting, actually. I hadn't realised how much you are what you eat. Goodness,
absolutely. Again, we are in the same boat with that. I changed my diet in a similar way. I don't eat carbs for dinner. And for the first time ever in my life, for the last sort of 6 years, I've been able to be at my ideal weight.
Brilliant. I'm still
And it's just
working on that.
a little change. But those little changes that you keep to them consistently make a world of difference.
Yeah, and just it's a constant battle trying to win with the weight, but having cut out the carbs made a big difference. I had a bit of I think I alluded before, I had a death in the family, and I
Right.
lost the momentum with that. So I started eating carbs again. Just was too difficult to try and keep to the diet when I was in that hospital with my mother-in-law. But that's when I really noticed the difference. Putting them back in my diet really set me back. So I'm trying to.
Interesting. In my mind, I just keep going back to systems. As you explained that you put in a system in your work so you can kind of remove yourself from the everyday doing and let other people do the job well. You need to put those systems in place in your own life to make sure that you manage these sort of manage your health no matter what.
I think it was just having out of the routine. I wasn't at home. I was in the hospital all the time, and I had to rely on the food that was available. I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to start pre-packing my lunches or whatever. So
you just take whatever is available.
It was just too easy just to fall back into bad habits. So, and now I'm finding it quite hard to get back onto the routine.
But you did actually hit the nail on the head, because it is routine, isn't it? And one of the bits of advice is to keep your routine simple. And that means that even when you go on holiday, you should be able to do it. So instead of tying your physical health management to a gym, do what you do. Go for a walk or exercise at home, or do little things that you can do literally anywhere in the world.
Ironically, perhaps, going on holiday and you're going and you're in charge of, you go to restaurants, you're in charge. You can say, I want to have this meal and don't put this on. You can ask them to do things.
You think
most
not
of the
everywhere,
time. But when you're not in your own home and you're not in a place where you've got control, it is much harder.
It is.
And the other thing that I need to improve on, I don't sleep well. Every night I wake up and I can't fall asleep again. So I need to find a better way of fixing that.
Recently, there was a string of my guests in the previous episodes, the episodes before yours. A string of them have told me about journaling, and I haven't quite started yet. But I've now heard it from so many people that journaling helps a lot, because you do an amount of
sleep.
Yes, because especially if you journal throughout the day, and if you can find all sorts of different journaling structures or diaries. It's something you can look into. But if you journal all through the day, like 1 minute in the morning, in the daytime, in the evening, maybe a little bit longer in the evening, but effectively you do a brain dump and you just sort of close the day on the positive. You set in a routine and you just say, this is what I've done, this is what I achieved. Maybe write down the 3 things that you need to do the next day, so your mind is at rest and thinks, okay, this is all sorted, it's all set up, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to keep everything in mind. And again, it works on your mental health, it works on your spiritual health, it connects you with your values. When you summarize what you've achieved that day, it reconnects you with your purpose, and that all comes in the spiritual health area. And journaling could potentially help your sleep. I mean, one thing I started doing just very recently on the back of all this is listening to a little 10-minute meditation practice specifically for bedtime. I don't seem to struggle anymore with going to sleep. Halfway through, it's like I'm gone. And in the morning, I'm just wondering, when did I fall asleep? Because I remember repeating things back and breathing. Yeah, and then I just fall asleep.
There are a couple of those apps. There's Headspace and Calm. I do use those sometimes. Yeah. But I started to listen to podcasts when I can't sleep, which I'm not sure is a good thing or bad thing. I thought sometimes I do fall asleep. Sometimes I find them too stimulating and I was going to say, it depends on
what you listen to. But if you listen to something calming, then that would help. But then if you listen to something business-like, then it will just get your brain going again.
Yeah, so I try not to do that in the middle of the night. I find other ones, or I go back to the Calm or the Headspace. But
I think the listening is a good habit. It's just what you listen to is what you need to perhaps revisit. But it seems like you are doing quite a few things for yourself already to make sure that you as a person are healthy, especially, seeing your mother-in-law pass recently. It kind of makes you realize that life is a bit too short.
Life is short, yeah. Makes you realize, yeah.
So go on, is there anything that here you are in your early 50s, what is it that you really want to do still in your life, or things you did in the past and maybe revisit?
As I said, I'm loving the entrepreneurialism and learning about that, and I want to progress and move forwards and get myself further along in that journey, and have time and go and visit my son in Canada. That's my immediate aims, and get healthy and better sleep. They're my immediate aims. I think, life is good.
Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildikó Sealey, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it, screenshot it, and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like, and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you were ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, well, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes, including my guests' contacts, the Uncopreneurs Club, and the few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, and reinvent.